Why no one should trust the Russian ceasefire. Ever. This is what we're gonna talk about today. Hello there, I'm Elena, welcome to my channel Enough of Propaganda. Please like, subscribe, comment, let's make truth available for everyone. This picture is, by the way, Vovchansk, is Ukrainian city. This is from the post of Jurgen Nadit on Twitter. This city is almost destroyed by Russian cubs. This city, where about 20,000 Ukrainians lived peacefully before the war. And the Russians continue to bomb the city and kill the people. Meanwhile, some bureaucrats in the West keep discussing, should we allow Ukraine to respond? Should we allow Ukraine to destroy the places in Russia which shelling them? And whether all of these attacks are coming from, which is absolutely ridiculous. But our video today is not about that. Even I'm kind of proud that my country, Canada, is one of the 11 countries which is at this point in time allowed Ukraine to shoot back and response, which should be normal because it is Russia who attacked Ukraine. And I'm proving it on my channel with many videos that it was unprovoked Russian aggression towards Ukraine. And it's already going for over 10 years, and only now they started to discuss maybe Ukraine should respond. According to United Nations and according to all the laws, in international laws, Ukraine have full rights to defend itself. And this is what Ukraine intend to do. But because Western allies providing Ukraine with weapons, they decided it's a good idea to tie Ukrainian hands behind their back and say, oh no, you shouldn't respond, and you shouldn't touch original Russian territory, and so on, which is wrong. But today we will talk briefly about what is going on, and I was really disgusted to hear that Putin is trying to say something about, oh, Russia wants peace or this and that. This is a lie and propaganda. And all the talks right now in media about so-called ceasefire is just useless, waste of time. There is no ceasefire. And Russia doesn't want lasting peace, which isn't even Russia. We'll be talking about illegal Putin's regime, which I proved on my channel and showed on my channel that Putin isn't legitimate leader of Russia. And so there is no legitimate government in Russia. There is usurper who is continuing to murder Ukrainians. And this has to stop. But if to talk about ceasefires, USSR, Russia, they wasn't obeying ceasefires in the past. We have to learn the history how it is. And Russia, even in the war in Ukraine alone, and I'll show you the piece of my video about the war which starts in Ukraine, which starts in 2014. It started in 2014. Even back then, Russia didn't obey ceasefires. So even if there would be ceasefire, Russia will not obey it and will keep killing Ukrainians, while Ukraine will obey ceasefire and many Ukrainians will die again. So it's plain stupid to go for stuff like that. But this is not even the point. When the country is planning to have a ceasefire, there are usually some steps taken for that. For example, they send in like emissaries or representatives in some other countries to kind of find the ways to organize the meetings and create ceasefire. They trying to, for example, on the front line, not to throw in the battle more and more troops, trying to reduce amount of military vehicles coming to the front, and so on. Trying to do something. If you're talking about ceasefire, let alone about lasting peace. We don't see any of this happening in Ukraine from Russian side. So there is no question about ceasefire or peace. Putin doesn't want peace, and I told you about this time and time again on my channel. All Putin wants a little time off so he could bring more troops and kill more Ukrainians and Russians. At the same time, because of Putin in charge, the new man instead of Shoigu, Putin is expecting from the new Minister of Defense that they're gonna improve things. To improve things, they need to slow down and stop whatever they're doing and analyze what is happening. And this could work for Putin as well. But do not buy this kind of lie. There would be no peace with Putin in power. Period. There would be only pretense and fake ceasefires during which Russia will continue to kill Ukrainians. And just now I'll show you a little piece of my video where I'll show you what happened. Like, we don't need to guess what's gonna happen during ceasefire. Time and time again, Russia proved that they don't have morals. They don't have, as a state, I mean, individual Russian people, many of them do. Even Ukrainians might not agree with me on that. But Russia as a state doesn't have morals whatsoever. And time and time again, they lied, they cheat, they broke international agreements, and they broke ceasefires as well. This is my playlist, The War in Ukraine 2014. This is when it started. And we will take a closer look to this video, 2014 Donbass War Explained, Facts and Evidence. I have the piece of the video which called Why No One Should Trust the Russian Ceasefire. Back then, Russia also was pulling all the stunts which they're pulling out in 2022. There was a ceasefire, and over the week of the ceasefire, according to Mr. Ostrovsky, about dozens of Ukrainians died because for them it wasn't convenient. Ukrainians couldn't shoot. Meanwhile, Russia was keep shooting. About dozen of them killed, and that was only around Slavyansk. As Ostrovsky said, he's not even speaking about other territories. The helicopter was shot down by Russians, and based on the information, 4 people from OSCE and 3 people from SBU died in that helicopter. Vice News did quite a bit of research, and they showed both sides, and they showed people who are sitting in the basements and can't live there and hardly surviving at risk. When ceasefire crumbles, then the shelling started again from different sides. And the civilians getting hit as well. Unfortunately, neither Russia nor Ukraine had precise weapons and like civilized and well-developed armies has. That is why so many people died, because they just not have precise weapons. They shoot at each other and then it falls and blow up the whole building or the whole apartment, several apartments, because it just not good weapons, Soviet weapons, not precise weapons, and people getting killed and getting hurt. And another ceasefire failed, because at the time, so-called pro-Russian separatists, which in fact were Russian army and pro-Russian, basically Russian citizens who pretend to be Ukrainians, shelled Ukrainian tanks during the ceasefire and so on. And this man is saying, we may have lost the battle, but we haven't lost the war. And this is what was happening in 2014. The same thing was happening in 2022. The same thing was happening any time when Russia had ceasefire within Ukraine, for example. They just lie. They lie and they continue killing Ukrainians. At the time, there were at least 29 failed ceasefires. How many more we need to prove that Russia does not obey ceasefire? So there is no point to talk about ceasefire. There is no point to talk about lasting peace unless Ukraine will win the war and clear up all their territories from Russian invasion. And it's our duty to help them. Because this is, I agree with Timothy Snyder on that, this is kind of like 1938, which we still can stop Hitler. I'll have another video about that, but we have to help Ukraine, and Ukraine need to have rights to defend itself and stop tying Ukraine hands behind their back and making them fight with their hands tied. Ukraine is defending itself and they have full rights to do so. And I want to show you my another playlist that's called Important to Know About the War in Ukraine, and especially this video, Putin's original plan for Ukraine exposed. This exactly telling everyone what's gonna happen, what will happen if Ukraine give up. This is what will happen. So it will complete destruction of Ukraine, horrible genocide, which everything which was happening before that will pale to compare. And again, I agree with Timothy Snyder on that as well. And this video not just about Bucha, the Bucha massacre, who is guilty. Bucha in 2022, Slavyansk in 2014. In 2014, Vice News were there, and they saw what happened in Slavyansk. After Ukraine liberated it, they saw all that mass graves and so on. What Russia did in Bucha, the same thing they did in Slavyansk. And in other places in Ukraine in 2014. And there was no repercussions. This is why Putin became bolder, and this is why he was continuing to advance. So please help Ukraine to stop illegal Moscow regime from the imperial wars, because Ukraine is just the beginning. Thank you for watching. Have a great day or the evening. Learn the truth and stay informed. See you later.